as negotiations continue over whether to raise the nation's debt ceiling, Republicans are, of course, pushing for spending cuts. And Donald Trump, candidate for president in 2024, released this campaign video, which was really interesting because in this video, he warned his party against cutting entitlements like Social Security and Medicare. So let's hear from the man himself.
Under no circumstances should Republicans vote to cut a single penny from Medicare or Social Security to help pay for Joe Biden's reckless spending spree, which is more reckless than anybody's ever done or had in the history of our country.
It never occurs to Trump to do a second take, obviously. This was pre-recorded. It wasn't live. So what is he? He's 20 seconds in. He could have just said, all right, time out. I flubbed that. Let's take it back to one. No. He doesn't. It's better than we've ever. It's worse than we've had or been or whatever. It just keeps going. Fuck it.
I suspect it's like Rocky 2 where he's trying to get into doing commercials and it just gets worse when they do it over. I think that's probably his experience.
Maybe he thinks he'll get nervous and he'll flub it even worse.
It'll just get worse from here. That's as clean a take as he's going to do.
Perhaps.
Biden has blown out the federal budget, wasted trillions on left-wing lunacy and the ridiculous Green New Deal, which is a tremendous problem and embarrassment to us. And thrown open our treasury and our borders to migrants from all over the world.
But it's a tremendous problem.
In fact, migrants that are coming from prisons and migrants that are coming from mental institutions are being dropped into the United States, and we do nothing about it. At the safest border in the history of our country just 2 years ago, and now we have probably the worst border in the history of the world. I don't think any country has ever had anything like we have right now. Well, we absolutely need to stop Biden's out-of-control spending. The pain should be borne by Washington bureaucrats, not by hardworking American families and American seniors. The seniors are being absolutely destroyed in the last 2 years. Cut the hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars going to corrupt foreign countries. Cut the mass releases of illegal aliens that are depleting our social safety net and destroying our country. Cut the left-wing gender programs from our military. Cut the billions being spent on climate extremism. Cut waste, fraud, and abuse everywhere that we can find it, and there's plenty of it. But do not cut the benefits our seniors worked for and paid for their entire lives. Save Social Security. Don't destroy it. The Democrats are looking to destroy Social Security. We're not going to let them do it. Thank you very much.
All right. So there you have it, sort of trying to revive some of that populist economic messaging from his 2016 primary campaign. And speaking of primary campaign, I do want to read a few clips from a recent article in Rolling Stone, because Trump is not only warning House Republicans against making these cuts, but he's also preparing to differentiate himself from likely rival Ron DeSantis on this issue as well. And what I mean by that is that he's trying to paint DeSantis as one of these like Randian, libertarian, Reaganomic Tea Party people, as opposed to the economic populism of Trump. So I'll just read these very, very brief snippets here. This is from a recent article in Rolling Stone magazine. In a Republican primary, only Donald Trump could effectively go after Ron DeSantis for wanting to cut Social Security, a Republican close to the 2024 Trump campaign tells Rolling Stone. Trump has a track record of saying the right things on this issue, both when it comes to a general election and also Republican voters in a primary. DeSantis' record in the House on this topic is very much of the Paul Ryan privatized Social Security platform, which is just not where our voters are. For Trump, DeSantis may be easy to paint as a heartless budget slasher. During his stint in the House from 2013 to 2018, DeSantis was a founding member of the Freedom Caucus, the hardest of the hardline members of the GOP conference. He was part of the team, Freedom Caucus founder and former Arizona Rep. Matt Salmon tells Rolling Stone. Salmon further praises him as one of the most principled people I got a chance to work with. We got one more slide here. The draconian cuts DeSantis voted for would have raised the eligibility age for Social Security and Medicare to 70. It would have weakened Medicare by offering seniors premium support instead of comprehensive health coverage, and it would have eroded Social Security by giving recipients miserly annual adjustments for inflation. Taken together, the two measures would have cut these bedrock safety net programs for seniors by more than $250 billion over a decade. So Trump apparently picking a fight not only with the incumbent Republican House members, but also with his potential 2024 rival. Russell, what do you make of this?
Yeah, a point that article made, as much as we talked about this a little bit offline, I haven't read a Rolling Stone article that wasn't about a geriatric rock star since Taibbi left. And you can really see why that split was inevitable, because, they're shit libs. Who reads Rolling Stone? It's a bunch of boomers who were once radicals, or a bunch of shit libs like Jan Wenner, right?
Right.
So there was really no place for a guy like Matt Taibbi there. Matt Taibbi was in the tradition of counterculture, Hunter Thompson, political reporting that Rolling Stone made its name on. But reading that article, it described Debbie Wasserman Schultz as far left. So that tells you all you need to know about where Rolling Stone's political coverage has gone since Taibbi departed. This is the first time I've seen it. That aside, the article did make an interesting point, because we talk about Trump as somebody who ran to the left and then chucked all that out the window when he got into office. Actually, in a sense, he didn't. He didn't do that Republican thing about trying to pressure Democrats to come to some kind of grand bargain on cutting entitlements. He just did it all. He cut taxes for the rich like a Republican, but he never did talk about going after Social Security and Medicaid. So,
Medicare. Medicaid, different story, which I'll bring up in a second.
Medicare, rather.
Yeah.
So that's an angle I actually hadn't considered. Like, yes, Trump wasn't proactively doing anything in regards to the more left policies he espoused, but he did realize politically Republicans in the end do not benefit from going after Social Security and Medicare. So he really left that alone. So he does actually have some credibility in that regard. I am of the opinion, I have been this entire time, I've said it's not that Trump doesn't have any fight left in him, doesn't have an angle to work against DeSantis. It is that Donald Trump will mysteriously have a heart attack after drinking his non-environmentally friendly morning coffee before the intelligence services will allow that man back in the White House. I don't care what he runs on. They are not going to let that guy be president again, period. Ron DeSantis, I think he has enough skill. I mean, on the, getting away from the grassy knoll angle on the Trump run. I think DeSantis has enough skill to realize he needs to pivot on those issues. And I think he will. Whether he does in reality, I don't know. But in terms of his political rhetoric, I'm pretty sure he's going to disown those policies if he actually announces he's going to run.
We shall see. I mean, the thing about Trump, the president versus Trump, the campaigner, is that it wasn't that yes, you're right. He didn't proactively seek to just shred those two programs. But the problem with Trump is that he's a lazy bastard. He's lazy. He wasn't up for the job. He didn't like doing the job. And I think this is going to hamstring him this time around, even when it comes to making these points. Because, yes, I mean, he talks this way right now, right? He's talking about campaigning to DeSantis's left on some of these issues. And look, he is to DeSantis's left on some of these issues, just like he was to Paul Ryan's left during his first 2 years, right? I mean, there's no denying that. However, a really telling point in Trump's term was that 2017 Graham-Cassidy bill, which was the Obamacare repeal bill. That bill would have transferred Medicaid over to states and capped Medicaid funding such that it would have destroyed Obamacare for a lot of the working poor who benefit from those Medicaid expansions. And so he campaigns in 2016 saying to Ted Cruz, very famously, we can't just let people die on the street. We have to take care of them. If that bill passed, if John McCain didn't give the thumbs down, if he voted yes, people would have literally died on the streets because of that bill. Right. And that's not because he wanted them to necessarily. It's just because he's a lazy bastard who didn't want to do the work of telling Congress, no, make this bill better and get it back to my desk. I'm not signing it like this. I think Trump would have had a lot more credibility to make these kinds of arguments had he actually used his weight to try and make whatever Obamacare replacement bill better. But he didn't. He was extremely lazy about it. I remember him going on TV. The Republicans, we passed a beautiful bill. Let's get it done. He didn't know what was in the bill. He didn't care. He's just a lazy bastard. Right. And so that's why, you really can't even take him seriously on things like that, I don't think. That's why I think it's going to be very hard to sell that kind of populist message as a contrast to whoever his chief rival is.
And as I said, I think DeSantis is skillful enough to get out of it, even so. Like, all that may be true, and it is true in regards to DeSantis's record. He's no dummy. He's going to pivot on economics to where he needs to be.
Please clap.